your bid doesn't connect or some rubbish like that for no reason.
Hey, this guy's...
Argument.
That's a serious insult, bro. That's a serious insult, bro. Like, Gosha fan, what are you saying? What's the office saying?
Yeah, it's calm, it's not too bad. It's a bit quiet. But nah, not too bad.
I can't lie. Do you know, this might even be a controversial one, but Thursdays might even be the best day of the week.
Yeah, mentally, it's the best.
Yeah.
100%. It's like you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Because Friday is a bit too, like, obviously you're on the weekend, but it's like saying no more. But Thursday's the day was like, you know what, I'm actually going to make it, fam.
I'm going to make it.
It's like, yeah.
Word, 100%. Wednesday, I'm not a fan. Not Wednesday.
Yeah, word.
I'm not a fan of the Wednesdays. Even made me think about like bank holidays because, like, for those that don't know, bank holidays, we have like what's the reason for that?
Sean, it's such a good question.
It's not
actually, it's such a good question. I thought maybe because I've always just thought, well, do you know what it is? Yeah, the banks need their holidays, innit? So,
word. I think it's like key pivotal dates in like the UK.
Right.
For example, for a more recent one would be the King's coronation is now bank holiday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The day where basically like no one works and people work, but like most main jobs you're not working, you're at home sort of thing. But this month we've had bears. So this month
bears, bro.
Another one. But I don't personally like the bank holidays. I'm not a big fan because I think mentally you now think you've got a 4-day week, so you think it should go quicker. But the one we had recently, I felt that week dragged. Like sometimes I don't like it. Don't tell me that my week's going to be shorter because it makes me feel like it gives me this hope. But really,
I hear it.
It's just
do you know what they need to do, bro? Do you know what it's not even a bank holiday? It's the fact they do it on a Monday, bro. Do it on the Friday. Give us the Friday.
Give me a Sunday. That's what I need. I don't need a Monday off. 9 times out of 10, really. You can't really do anything on the Monday because you'll be going to work on the Tuesday. So if you gave me the Saturday and Sunday to rest from the Friday, if I had the Friday off, that's sufficient. But
that's what needs to happen, bro.
Nah, word. I wanted to chat to you about something, yeah, and it was something I deeped yesterday. Just for like, I was, and someone actually asked me, they were like, "Oh, like how's your day?" sort of thing, and I was like, you know what, yeah, how was my day? Like genuine. And nah, John, I actually deeped it. Yeah, this loneliness thing is a real thing, you know. Like, and I'm. You know, like sometimes when you take like a step back and you actually can look at life and think this is how people end up in the situation they are in life, and it just makes sense. So, for me personally, I'm just like I work a 9 to 5. So, for example, for me, I wake up at 6, get ready for work. I probably say morning to people that are all getting ready for school, work, whatever. Cool. My mum, my dad, my brother. Cool. I go to work now. I'm at work. Yes, I conversate with people, but really and truly, I'm working. We're conversating about work. Maybe take like a second or maybe 10 minutes to talk about something outside of work. Cool. I leave work now. I go home. I get home. Me personally, I go to the gym. I go straight after. So I go to the gym straight after. Maybe 1-2 chats here and there. Cool, calm. Then after that, I come home now. People will still be awake. I'll be like, what are you saying? What are you saying? How's your day? How's your day? Cool. Boom. Go have my dinner now. I have my dinner obviously later than everyone else, so I'm there on my ones now. And then after that, go to bed. And I was actually deep, and I was like, that process, yeah, I've probably had maybe an hour max in the day of conversation, apart from when we record, of like actual conversating face to face with people. And it's, I think it's such a vicious cycle how you can end up actually being very lonely without being lonely. So I remember I was chatting with Mrs. B, she was working a night shift, and she was just like, "Oh, how was your day?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what, yeah, it was a bit lonely, you know, like on a real, it actually was."
I'm like, go show you that.
Do you get what I'm saying? So then I was like, I then started thinking about people that are probably like, I can't be the only one in this situation. I'm not. Do you get what I'm saying? But this is how I think certain habits come about, because I was just like, okay, let's for example, like the UK, I don't know about other countries, but the UK is very like prolific for it being one of the countries where people just love to go to the pub. Like you'll see people at the pub after work, all this sort of stuff. And I was thinking, do you not think maybe that behaviour is a cause of being lonely?
It's a cause, or you think it's a
Sorry. Is
like a
result of being
right,
like, because
right.
I'm actually deep. I've been to a few pubs here and there, and sometimes when I'm actually there, actually deep. These are just people conversating. Like for example, I look at my girlfriend's dad. He goes to the pub every now and again, like on the weekend, and like these people's like their opportunity to come together as a collective,
100%.
have a chit chat. What was the week saying? What was the week saying? Get a couple things off their chest. Do you know what I'm saying? But if
Mm.
you that alone, you're not necessarily going to the pub to drink, because I think people think that people that go to the pub, like let's say Monday to Friday, are just alcoholics that love to drink.
It's a fair point, you know.
It's,
It's a fair point.
the thing is even that they're going because they're lonely. Alcohol just happens to be there, and it facilitates.
Mm.
It's just
But Sean, at the same time, though, so do you think if alcohol wasn't in the equation, people would go to the pub as much?
okay. This is also the problem. The problem is people don't have what's it? Don't have the confidence to say I'm lonely in it, so they won't actually say that, and that's obviously a thing with
Mm.
men in it. No man's really is going to be like, oh, what are you saying? I'm feeling a bit lonely today. Can we just go and have a chit chat? No one's going to say that. People,
Right.
and that's it's deep, but it's like people would rather say, oh, should we go get a pint at the pub? Cool. That's their cry for help, and that's their way of saying I'm lonely. Can we go and have a chat, basically? So in that regard, I think it's like it's not that like the alcohol is essential, but it's like a way to cover up
Mm.
really what how they're feeling. Because I was
When do you
like,
think? When do you think if you had to say like let's say a time frame? When I say time frame, a period of life. So whether it's like secondary school, whether it's like sixth form, whether it's like the first 2 years of getting into the 9 to 5, whether it's like when you have kids. When do you think people are okay? Let's say men. When do you think on average people are at their loneliest? And when would you say you've been like in terms of rough scales? It doesn't have to be like this month, but like roughly, when do you think like you would at the loneliest for you?
so 100%. I think like when I look at situations like that, I think once you start working, that's
Mm,
when loneliness can really start. Because if you look at every other situation before, you take for granted the fact that you're around people. Like not one
right,
day you ever go to school and think, oh, I'm grateful that I've got all these people around me right now, and I'm not.
right.
I can go to him. I can go to him. Her. Like there was never once in my entire school uni life where I thought. And actually, maybe at uni. Actually, I'll tell a lie. I take it back. Maybe it was at uni. But at school, I never ever processed the concept of loneliness. People chat shit about it. They come and do their talks and that in the school hall. You're like,
Yeah.
you're just chatting about their wife. But when I remember vividly first time at uni, I was in my accommodation. You know my accommodation, John. I remember one day I walked in, that door, the way it used to slam behind.
Yeah.
It was like you're here now, innit? I remember I walked in, the door slammed, bang, behind me. It was like a Sunday as well. Everyone had gone out on the Friday, people are hungover and all that. And then I remember I was sat there in my room, and there was actually like no one was active. Everyone was just doing their own thing. And I was sat there and I was like, bro, like this is actually deep. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's actually no one for
I
me
hear.
conversate with really. And then I think I forced a conversation with a flatmate just to try. He wasn't having it. It was
Zipper.
yeah. I was busy. I was like, I said it was. But when I looked at that, I was like, okay. But then I just thought, oh, it's uni, and then I didn't even process that it could actually potentially get worse. But the only saving grace is I feel like now that
Mm,
even though, for example, like you said, I felt lonely, that
mm,
it's really what you choose to do with it. Because of like for me now, I don't really up until yesterday, I've gone through this process for probably the last like year since maybe like December when I started going gym consistently every day. I go through the same process every single time, not once because I'm really deep it like that to be honest. And I think that's because
mm.
I use my loneliness time for. Do you get what I'm saying? So like obviously I'm thinking about stuff like this and thinking about stuff to do with like the fitness page in the gym. I'm like, so I never actually have a moment where I'm actually like, oh, okay, I'm actually like lonely.
I hear still.
It's what you're using your time up for. And that's when I was just like, even like yesterday when I was at the gym, I'm like, I feel like the world we're getting into, people are starting to realize your free time is precious. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
it's not like the amount of tripods I saw in the gym yesterday, John. Like people,
Swear.
I don't know what they're doing
Is
in
that
it.
what people just really on the grid recording the gym thing now?
They're
It
on it.
makes sense, to be fair. It does make sense. Like,
Like you're doing it anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? So
true,
why
true.
not? Like that's why I've got to the point now where I'm so comfortable with it because I'm like I'd be doing this anyway. So really and
Mm,
truly, if I just used to record it and post it, it's not taking anything away from me whatsoever. Do you get what I'm saying?
right,
So
right.
when I was seeing bare people doing that, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that I was like, I was gassed. I was like, but I looked at them thinking, I hope you stick to it, and I say it to myself as well. Like, I hope I stick to it because, like, it's one
Right.
of like it starts off as a joke until it's not. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm.
It's mad. It's mad.
I even hear it. Do you know, it's interesting. This loneliness topic, yeah. I
Mm,
completely hear it. I think it'll be waffle for me to say that I'm immune to loneliness because I'd just be waffle. I
mm,
think I'm just a weird don to some extent whereby I think my threshold before feeling actually lonely is very, very, very high because naturally I prefer being alone. Do you get
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
So is it interesting balance because I know for some people, like there's some people that feel lonely very easily and they
Mm,
always need to be out or doing plans or with someone or even even relationships, bro.
that's
Like, do you
that.
know how many relationships are active now just because people feel lonely?
No, honestly, that's something that I was even going to ask you with regards to
Mm,
loneliness. Do you think that loneliness extends to your relationship in the sense of do you like so like for me for example personally I think
mm,
that I am very happy and content in my relationship but I feel like I
mm,
do need a bit of time to myself, do you get what I'm saying, to get like for my it's weird because it's not like there's ways you can look at it be like oh well let's say you're living with that person now and you're married you got your house in you can't expect to then like you can't be like oh I'm just leaving the house for a couple of days to be alone and do my own thing.
right.
But I think even because I think we're naive to think at this point right now we're at the final point in our relationship where like we're not even the final point at that point in our relationship where we're going to be living together at that point yet or like
Right, right,
married.
right, right,
Like it's important to have that like time to yourself where it's like a reset period where you just with your own thoughts gather because like you said some people are in relationships because of the comfortability of the situation.
hmm,
I
right,
say it's just routine sort of thing. But I feel like having
right.
a part is actually essential to like I don't even know, sort of like take away the thoughts you've had together by yourself.
Process.
Sorry,
I hear it. To be fair, I do hear it.
what about you?
I think I agree. Do you know what? Do you know what? Where we're different is because obviously we don't live in the same country, innit?
Mm,
So these times when we're together, it's like that
yeah,
is the time to be together. Do you get what I'm saying? So I actually hear that. Do you know? We even talk about this, you know, because I think there's certain people that need it more than others. But you know, there's certain people that oh, Sean, that's even a very, very, very good topic
mm,
because obviously we don't live with our partners yet, yeah. So we're just
mm,
talking about future projections, basically.
yeah,
But you know how like there's some certain people that have their partners and they don't sleep in the same bed, bro.
yeah. No, it happens. It happens. It
So
happens.
Sean, what's your in terms of so that's an example of all right, cool. We need our time space, or I mean, I guess in that case, some people just be like, for me to sleep, I just need to have my space where it is. Say no
Mm,
more. But
mm.
my thing is, like, what's your thoughts on that, bro?
See, that's mad that you say this because this has actually come up a few times before. Where, like, for example, C will say to me, she'll be like, "Oh, like, I just like having you. I don't. I did. She doesn't sleep as well if I'm not there in the bed with her. Do you
Right,
get
right, 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 right.
like as in like she just doesn't. She just doesn't feel normal. And I think maybe that's because we were at when we were from uni where, and it's. I think it's actually proven it true that when you sleep in bed with someone, your bodies they start to sync up. Like John is mad.
I, I hear it. I hear it.
Apparently we're talking about breathing. So like at points when you're sleeping, both your bodies
Mm,
are breathing at the same rate, which is mad.
right.
So like we
Yeah,
together
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
mad, mad. And then I don't know, there's loads of stuff I've seen before about like
Right.
points of like just the connection of just being next to that person.
Yeah.
It is important. Like I'll be real, I feel like I have way better sleeps when I sleep next to C than when I'm not. But I don't
Right.
process it too much. I notice it the day when I go home, 100%. The day when I go home, I'm like, okay, this feels a bit different. But I don't really understand the whole concept of. sleeping separately. It doesn't make sense to me. It just
It doesn't. It doesn't go down. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't go down. It doesn't go down. Like for me personally, fair enough. There's always the other argument, but for me personally, if it gets to the point where I feel like I need, I don't know, I could be waffling. Maybe I'm being really naive. I
Mm,
haven't had enough experience with relationships, but I just feel like, you know what? If it gets to the point where I feel like I need a separate bed from someone else, that's my partner. I don't know
mm.
if that person should be my partner, fam. I don't know if I
Yeah,
need to be with that person.
but 100%. And I think that's like obviously let's say like a scenario for example. Let's say like for example, there's been like an argument. You've had an argument before bed.
Right.
Me personally, I can't go to bed on an argument. I just can't. I can't. I would rather
Mm.
up till the
So,
till the birds are tweeting, John. You know them birds in the morning, John.
right.
I'll happily, I'll happily stay up till them times to talk about what the problem was before trying to.
Hey, sure.
Bro,
You know, when you start hearing the birds, you say, yes, it's
there's always that
love,
one
bro.
bird. There's always that one bird everyone knows, and you think it's specific to your house, and then you go to somewhere else, and you're like, no, it's everywhere. It's
No,
everywhere.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. They're active.
No,
Those are the ones, bro.
but I,
Before sunset, fam.
I
But
do not.
nah, I completely hear that. I
I,
completely hear that. And do you know what I was even going to say, yeah, on this topic? Yeah, actually,
mm,
finish what you were going to say. Finish what you were going to say.
I was just saying, I just do not believe in like and going to bed on a bad note because you're gonna wake up on that same note. You can't. I don't know what relationship where you can just wake up and be like, okay, that never happened now. Cool. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Doesn't make
mm.
so I'm like,
How do you, this might be a bit, I guess, personal, but how do you guys, are you, I guess this is more of a question about seeing it, so you don't have to answer, but I guess, you know how some people are like, all right, let's say something happens, and someone's like, nah, I need to be alone. Give me time. I need 2 hours to think about it. Or
yeah,
there's some people like, okay, let's talk about it. Some people it's kind of like the silent treatment. They'll be there, but it's kind of like a silent treatment type thing for a little bit. Like
mm-mm.
how do you man pattern it, roughly
See,
speaking?
I need to talk. We just need to talk about it. I can't ponder. I can't have time. It doesn't sit right with me because it's allowing things to fester in it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like if you the whole silent treatment thing. Don't get me wrong. Let's say for example it was something deep, but it could not be something deep. Whether it's deep or it's not, you leaving it is allowing it to build in your mind. Like you're allowing
right,
it there and fester and gradually get worse and worse. Probably way worse than whatever it was in the first place. Do you get what I'm saying?
right,
So
right,
by me, I've always been like, you know, yeah, let's just. It can seem like quite petty, but I'm like, let's just chat about it, get out of the way, and then move on. Because I don't believe in like one. I believe that like the point in being together, I'm not naive to think that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows the entire time. We probably will argue. We're probably going to argue a lot because you've had a whole life by yourself. I've had a whole life by myself. So for us to
right.
be think that we're naively just going to mesh and everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows would be silly. So the point is that I think is that when we have these situations, it's not just about resolving the situation for now. It's resolving it so that we don't have to come back to it again. Do you get what I'm saying? So
I hear you.
I'd rather build it on. We talk about it, cool. If it reoccurs again, then clearly there's an issue because we've discussed it. We said this shouldn't happen,
Mm.
and it is. Do you get what I'm saying? But I feel like you just let things.
Do you find that a lot of the times let's say you were to have a argument or debate or whatever it is about something, yeah?
Mm-mm.
Do you find a lot of the times it's a logic versus emotion issue, or what do you think? That's not even a thing like that.
Yeah, I think like, and this is not even like being sexist or anything like that at all, because maybe there has been like maybe one or few times, but I've been more emotional than logical. But me, just
Right,
genuinely, I'm a very logical person. Like, as in like,
right,
I don't know if it's just the way that we've been brought up with school, all these sort of things. PE.
right.
Honestly, that's how my works. Like, there's something. I say this to see all the time. I'm like, I would never raise a point if I didn't think there was a point, a reason, and an explanation for it. Do you know?
It's simple.
Wouldn't, because I'm just thinking there's no point. Like, there's, I can't justify saying something just like. I don't really get where people say stuff out of emotion. I get it. It's someone that you love, but at the same time, I'm like, so you said this now out of emotion.
Mm.
How do you validate that to someone? You know, like people say things out of anger. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense because
No word.
now I've made this statement out of anger. This person, let's say for example, cool, you got, let's say, cool, I'm a girl for example, I've got my man now, and I say to him, oh, we have an argument. I'm like, what do I say? I don't know. Let's say I just I dig him out for his looks or something, like something just petty, like
Right.
your beard doesn't connect or some rubbish like that for no reason.
Hey, this guy's...
Argument.
That's a serious insult, bro. That's a serious insult, bro.
That's a serious. That's a serious. Like,
I
it
hate you.
doesn't connect.
Literally.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
No correlation to the argument whatsoever now.
Right.
The argument gets solved because after a while we cool heads, we calm down, cool. But now in his head, you've now made a statement which has had no like correlation to
relation. Right.
Now he comes back to you now and says, "Why did you say that? How the hell do you justify this now? You can't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense." So in those situations, I always try, even if there's something out of emotion, I'll try and just be like, cool, but what is the actual logic behind this? Do you get what I'm saying? Because otherwise, I'm saying stuff that I can't then back up later down the line. And then that's just allowing the person you're with now to like, they'll end up resenting you for you saying things that not that you didn't mean, but you just you have no reasoning behind it at all. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
no, I can't lie. This relationship thing is even a serious one, bro. It's a tricky one. But I think to be fair, like I'm pretty sure A would even say the same thing. Like typically when we have these discussions in it, like it just comes down to logic versus emotion most of the time. But I think at the same time though, here's something that I'm learning though. You can't discredit emotion, bro.
You can't.
Like you can't. It's almost logic. It almost would say. You see how like for us, logic is just so. It's almost a law, like logic, bro. Logically, that doesn't make sense. Or logically, this just makes sense, like logically. And we can live by that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we can use that almost as like, you know how these scientists, they believe in the law of physics, bro. Like, there's just law. So we can live by emotion, by logic. I feel like you have to get to the point if you're, let's say stereotypically a guy, where you have to start to respect emotion because it's always going to be there, bro. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's always going to be there.
And we'd be very naive to think that there's no situations where we're not emotional. Do you get what I'm saying?
True.
I think that whole stereotype of that men are more logical, women are more emotional. I personally think until you're with that right person, you'll have a bit of both. Do you get what I'm saying? Like there's been times I hold my hands up, John, where like I've like there's been times where she said something to me which makes complete sense. It makes sense. I can't even give a rebuttal to the argument that she's made. Does it? But the ones there where it's just whatever it was, it's just like I'm upset though. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter like whether you can explain like from start to finish why this was the case, this, that, the other, it makes sense. But how you feel about something sometimes just can't be. Sometimes logic just can't explain it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's not. It's like a feeling that is just like.
These times, A would absolutely love this conversation. She would love to hear what you're saying, fam. I'm sure she'll listen and she'll mention it to me, bro. No. She'll use it as evidence against me in the court of law, bro.
No. 100%. You're just like.
I hear it.
The worst part is as well because men are I think maybe inherently logical.
Right.
It's even worse when you realize that you're being emotional because it's like an inner conflict with yourself. Where it's like I get it, but I don't like the way that I'm still feeling. Do you get what I'm saying? So in that, I think there's times where like I just feel like it makes me now appreciate more if she's being emotional over logical because I've now been in that situation where you've explained something to me, it makes 100% sense of what you're saying, but regardless, I still feel a certain way about it. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. So sometimes now emotional, I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying makes sense, but I can't how she's feeling. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, you see on this topic, kind of mixing this topic on the loneliness thing, do you think, so obviously you mentioned it on the terms of like a work day, which is different, but in terms of in a relationship in itself, let's say someone's in a relationship and they feel lonely, even though they're in a relationship. What's your thoughts? Like, do you think that's a very perfectly fine thing that could happen, or do you think that's a malfunction somewhere in a relationship? Like that shouldn't be the case.
Not at all. Because so even yesterday when I had the conversation with C, she was on a night shift. Yeah, and I like to think my least lonely time is when I'm with her, for example. And she did say, like, "Oh, when we live together and still this sort of stuff." She was like, "Cool." It wouldn't be like that. And then I was like, but I've gone through that situation with her already where at uni where it was just me and her in the house at one. I was like, even if we live together, in the same situation we're in now,
Mm.
when you're working a night shift, for example, I would have gone to work. You would have been
Right.
asleep day. You would have then gone to work at night when I would have come back. So I would have still just been just as lonely, if
I
not,
hear you.
if not worse, because there's no one around me at all. But
I hear you.
like it's so in that regard, I was like, I'll still feel the same way I'm feeling now because you're not going to be there. But I think there's
Mm.
something about being in a relationship and feeling lonely. I don't know if that's got something. It's tough. I feel like if you're in a relationship and you feel lonely, it's that's more of like there's something in you because I think there's something that's stopping you from reaching out to that person. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, I don't think
Mm.
it's got to do necessarily physical distance or like being physically with each other all the time. If you're
Right.
with and you feel lonely, that for me, I think is a bit of a
I hear it still. I
because
hear it still. And I hear
because
it.
I don't. I think why I've never really processed or deep the lonely bit even till yesterday. Not that I
Mm.
deep bad word, it was like a reflection thing. But the only reason I didn't deep it is because I'll I'll be able to vent all my thoughts and everything to see what's going on in my mind. All this, so to the point where I'll be messaging. I'll never actually process it. Do you get what I'm saying? But let's say, for example, now I'm doing all these things, and then I couldn't chat to her about it. She wasn't interested in it, or all these sort of things. I then be like, oh, right. I've got all these things in my head and I can't like speak about it to anyone. That's when I think,
Right.
yeah, that's when I do feel a bit lonely.
I even hear it still. I was even deep in, yeah, because even in the case of A, yeah, one
Mm,
thing we do well is we leverage technology. So I'm deep in because, and it's cold because I work remotely in it. So not everyone has this privilege, but because I work remotely and I just need to get on with what I'm doing. There's times where literally I'll be working, I'll just have FaceTime there chilling, bro.
yeah,
So
no,
it's like I can't lie, we utilize all of the FaceTime minutes. Obviously, FaceTime is free in it with that. But
yeah,
if it was a phone contract, we need unlimited minutes of
I
FaceTime, bro.
lose it.
Unlimited minutes because we just like times in it. And that's what I'm saying. You don't need to be chatting, but there's
Oh,
sometimes it's like we're just there, like saying more. The presence is there, in it. Do you get it?
100%. Even
So
like
these are the things.
situations where there was, I think it was maybe like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I was at C's yard, and we were just in
Mm,
bed, and we were just both on our phones. It was maybe like I'm not saying that it's good that we're on our phones for this long, but maybe we're probably on our phones maybe like 30 minutes. But
right.
like even when once we put the phones down, we were like, oh, we'll put the phones down and watch a film. But it was she was like, that was really nice, and I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That's really
Feel that is so cute.
like, like that was really nice. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, oh, like it was just nice, like having your presence there. And sometimes that's all you need, isn't
True,
it?
I hear it. Well, nah, sometimes that's what you need, bro. And to
That's
be honest, I completely hear that. I completely hear that, bro. I completely hear it.
it's mad. But nah, a little
Man,
side.
let's see.
Yeah, well, my
Go
lad,
on.
nah, these lot need to meet, man. We need to do a
Nah,
link.
we need to do. We'll have to do a link up in it. We'll have to do a link up. We'll have to do a
Nah,
link up for sure.
100%. But little side note, yeah. Back to what I was saying about like all going into the gym and everyone just having their tripods and stuff like that. Like, I'm saying
Mm,
this to anyone that's watching right now, like, because
mm,
I had a chat with my mum about this about just like dreams and all this sort of stuff. And like my mum, I can't. Both my parents they're on it, but my mum's like really like saying to me lately. She's like, if there's something that you want to achieve and do, like just go for it. And I remember, so I said
mm,
about like my fitness page and all this sort of things and my podcast and everything. And I think I might have slipped out the word like maybe or might or some. I can't remember it was one of those things where it's like subconscious. I didn't realize I was saying it, but I said it. And she
right.
called me and she was like, don't say maybe, might, if, could, all these sort of things. And she was like, your grandmother used to say to me all the time before they moved to the UK. Bearing in mind, they moved to the UK with literally a suitcase, and that was it. But she literally said to my parents, she was like, your tongue is powerful, innit? And he was like,
Mm,
and she was like, the things you start saying, even if you start saying if, could, maybe, you're pushing that out into the world. The thing is, people like to really go against this whole like, what's it called? Oh, if you speak it into existence, this whole thing. But I don't think people really understand the concept of speaking something into existence because it's not necessarily saying, oh, if I just start saying I'm going to do this, miraculously it's just going to come back, whatever. But I think speaking to distance is telling yourself that there's no other alternative to a situation. I think when you believe like there's no other alternative, there's things which I think we know that we're capable of doing. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I saw this thing, it was like if someone held someone held a gun to your head and they said to you, right, anything apart from fly, like start flying, you would be able to do. Like someone said to you right now, like if it was a life or death situation, and they said to you, you need to make like for example, make a channel and get, I don't know, we're talking maybe like 1,000 subscribers in a week. John, you are willing to do absolutely anything to get to that. So the whole speaking things into existence thing is telling yourself that there's literally no other alternative to the situation. If you say if means that if I do this, I could potentially get that. If I do that, I could potentially do. There's too many. You need to like tell yourself there's only one option. Do you get what I'm saying? So when she was like when you're talking about these things, talk about it in the sense of it is going to happen. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're not giving yourself any other alternative to the situation. So like this, for example, even like today, John, I'll be honest, I was tired before we I won't lie. I'll be honest. I just felt slumped. It was the same thing. Oh, it's Thursday. I was like, it's Thursday, Friday tomorrow. I'm just tired. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, we are going to pattern this. So therefore, I need to come in with energy. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's no other alternative. Like, whatever's going on in my life right outside of this, I need to turn up for this now. So if you're watching this,
the nuts thing I've clocked, you see what you mentioned, I even need to hop on in a second, but the nuts thing I've noticed, whether it's this, whether it's a gym, you see when you know you should do something and you don't want to do it. Once you start doing it, it's calm. Did you get it? Like once you get into the gym,
it's actually
it's calm.
It's minor. Once you're doing anything, it's way you're like the brain is a mad one. The way it tries to change the situation sometimes until when you start, you're like, why the hell wouldn't I do this? Because it was such a minor situation, minor inconvenience. Like once after, like for example, if it's the gym, for example, once you're home, and then you're like, oh, I've done it now. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true. It's really true. I think that's a big one with the gym, by the way. Big one.
100%. Big one with the gym. Big one with anything. I think 100% it applies to literally anything. Once you can, it's very easy to talk yourself out of something that the fear of like the unknown of how something's going to be or how you're going to feel about something. Like even like, for example, the amount of people that probably don't record themselves in the gym now compared to do record themselves in the gym now is probably the fear of judgment and all this sort of stuff. But and thinking, oh, maybe it's not going to work out. But until you try it, how the hell are you going to know? You're never going to know. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, word. No. Man, coach, I'm going to hop on to this call, innit?
No, have a good call, man.
Say no more, fam. I'll shout you, fam.
In a bit.
In a bit, fam.